No, it's showing that we're broadcasting here. So.
That's what's important.
That's what's important.
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 Ireland is that.
Oh, yep, it says we're live. I just got a notification. Why does it always broadcast as desktop?
I don't know.
Bothers the shit out of
I've
me.
been wondering about that.
Like, I always put the proper name in, and it always broadcasts as desktop.
I mean,
I'm gonna have to hurt somebody.
Hey, it's
Alright.
because I love you. I don't need your love.
Alright, so, greetings everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to the PORNCast. I'm Castle. This is Sakura. That's Jobin. That's Wacko. And let's dig right into it. Today, and actually I think this microphone is blocking Jobin's face.
One would hope.
The camera's pointing that way. I'm over here. I'd like to think there was a happy medium between.
Oh no, that's a very
the middle of the screen.
It's very
and this microphone.
Greetings, Jaden. Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in.
What it do?
What it do to you?
Okay, so can everybody see and hear us properly? Is everything all right? Everybody see us? Yes? No? All right. So, thanks everybody so far for tuning in. We are talking about gender appropriation in films. Now, to be more specific, we're talking about gender and cultural appropriations in films. Historically, Hollywood is very white. This is an undisputable.
That's right.
Well, very Jewish white.
It's more Broadway. You can't do well on Broadway if you don't have any Jews, you know.
Okay. Do you have the chat room? Okay, perfect.
Wahlberg, very Jewish son.
So just so that you guys know, we do now have a live chat moderator during the podcast, so you guys can actually get involved with this. And actually, Wacko, you're going to be handling the main screen, so go for it. Okay.
Where's the mouse? Oh,
It's just above the sea.
I'm so done with all of you.
My problem was,
my
first thought was body of water. I'm like, what the fuck is
It's just above the ocean.
It's just above the sea. Like, where's the mouse?
Okay. So
mouse, country mouse.
Historically, Hollywood is very white, and media in general is just very white. We're going to use white as a very broad term, the same way that the media in general uses white.
Okay.
Because that's not really what we're talking about. We're talking about the generalizations that cultures make. So back in the day, like, you'd have John Wayne play Native Americans. You'd have Sean Connery play everything from Spanish to British people, which are actually European, all in general. But
yeah.
So by the standard, they also would be white. But just Hollywood in general is historically very white.
Yeah.
And
Michael Jackson. All that.
Okay.
I have a funny story to tell off camera about Michael Jackson.
Okay.
Just because it talks about a personal family member and.
Yeah.
Anyways, so.
Is the family member still alive?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that family member does watch the podcast, so.
Oh, hello.
We do.
Your family member.
Yes.
Not Michael Jackson's family.
No.
Janet Jackson watches the PORNCast.
No. Well, maybe, I don't know. Who knows?
Janet.
Now, one of the things that we're talking about with cultural appropriation of roles is that there's this big movement to try and get protected status persons as well as females, into which females fall under protected status. For any of you that don't know HR jargon, anybody who is from a certain ethnic group or who is female is considered to be a protective status legally in the United States. Right. So, they're trying to... Careful. Bump into the microphone. And they're attempting to do this to balance things out. Now, I'm sure everyone's heard of affirmative action. Now,
yeah.
I will say, we're not going to talk too much about it, but I will say that the idea behind this is a very good one. I think it's being very poorly executed as far as the way that America in general does things. They tend to overcompensate and put a lot of shame on people when it comes to correcting wrongs. What? You did bad. You almost broke the computer. Stop yelling. All right. Yeah. All right.
Shut down.
We had a little bit of near tragedy earlier when setting up the podcast.
Essentially.
Yes. So my question is, and I do want to make the point that I do think that this is a good thing. I'm not opposed to cultural diversification in media and in workforces.
Not at all.
I don't only think that it is necessary, but I think that it's appropriate for creating and maintaining the melting pot culture that is the United States.
I do think that the definitions and the boundaries should be better defined.
I absolutely 100% agree with you, and one of my big issues with the whole thing is that I feel like instead of taking and including people, they're turning people and types of people into a checkbox.
And against each other. They're like, oh, we are separate, so let's be separate and hate each other instead of let's just be together.
Well, and I feel like it is very much a self-defeating circle. And that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about specific instances where I feel like Hollywood is doing the wrong thing in trying to include more women and more people in protected statuses in their films instead of... Okay, so we're going to dive into that right now. Now, the most recent and probably most famous example of this currently right now, most relevant example, is going to be Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters has so much controversy just all around it right now because of what it is they're doing. Now, we watched the trailer a little bit ago, and the film is essentially a recreation.
Exactly. It is a recreation. It's not a reboot. It's not a retelling. It is a recreation. The characters are just...
It's almost script for script with the exception of putting Chris Hemsworth in as eye candy for the women.
What did we call it?
Trendy thing.
Yeah, okay, we call it a modern Rule 63. Rule 63?
This guy says we're only showing up on 20%.
Yeah, we are.
Oh yeah, no, we're only in the corner.
We're only supposed to show up in the corner because we show things on the screen. We do part of our presentation on the computer screen.
Fairly
so
soon.
But thank you for looking out.
Yes, appreciate that. Yeah, we're only meant to appear in the upper right hand corner.
We're not that important.
Yeah, later on as the podcast develops, we'll do live editing during the podcast. Right now, the podcast only average between 8 and 20 viewers, so live editing would be a lot of work for not a whole lot of effect. But thank you for pointing that out to us. Yes, we do know that we only cover the upper right-hand corner of the screen. Okay, so Ghostbusters is a beloved film. I'm going to go out right now and say I think Ghostbusters is terrible. It's a terrible film. I like the film, but just like most films made in the 80s, it's terrible. And we like it because it's terrible.
Yeah, I think it was average.
Surf Nazis Must Die. Great movie, but absolutely boring.
Well, even films like Escape from New York and Escape from Los Angeles, I love the hell out of them. Big Trouble in Little China. Love those films.
Yeah.
Terrible films.
Horribly
Terrible, yeah.
horribly.
Even beloved films like Gremlins. Love those films. They're terrible. I know a gentleman who was in the first Gremlins film.
Really?
He was the teacher that gets stabbed in the ass with a syringe and a pair of scissors at the end of the movie.
Okay.
And again, it's a completely ridiculous film. Most films made in the 80s were ridiculous. Even Star Wars borderlined on being ridiculous in some areas. If you take A New Hope, Episode 4, the Yoda character is absolutely ridiculous.
Well, okay.
He's in Episode 5.
Yeah, he was in Episode 5, but I would go as far to say that 5 was well produced and 6 wasn't.
Well, they also switched producers.
Oh, okay, that explains it.
Gary Kolva
like
that film.
Yeah.
Yeah, him and Lucas kind of split ways because Lucas. We spoke about this earlier. Lucas thought that they needed to make more toys, whereas Gary Kolvak or whatever his name was decided that he thought the film should be more story based.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing with Luke turning to the dark side and whatnot.
Oh, hey, guess where they're going now? More story focused. Well, no, they're so focused on.
Here's the interesting thing is that the original script for that, and that actually this feeds into the topic that we're talking about. So, in a good way, there's an old show called Dinner for Five, and the after this was done in 1990 something, Mark Hamill sat down at this table and talked about the original way the script was going, and Luke was supposed to turn to the dark side at the end. He was supposed to pick up Vader's helmet, put it on, and say, "I am now Vader." Like, that was how it was supposed to go.
Okay.
And but Lucas changed it because he wanted to be able to sell more toys. And the Lucas Empire was essentially built off of toys and merchandising. So what ended up happening is Hamill told this story at a table during the show Dinner for Five. Guess who was sitting at that table?
George Lucas.
J.J. Abrams.
Oh, okay.
So he essentially pitched this idea to Abrams 20 some odd years ago.
Yeah.
And now Abrams is directing the Star Wars films, and I think he's going to
turn into the dark side. That's a big fan speculation.
I feel like he's just the kind of bold director to do so.
No, he isn't directing the 8th film.
Yeah, I know.
I believe he's doing
But the 8th film is Rogue One, yeah?
No, that is a separate film.
Okay.
That's separate, coming out at the same time.
And it's
and this feeds into.
It's 4 point or
no, it's pre-4, I think.
Or 3.4.
It's right. It's in between episode 3 and episode 4. Huh? I know, but it feeds into the topic. That's why I allowed that one to go. A lot of people.
Rogue One was generous.
Well, no, and see, that's the thing is that people are complaining that the lead for both A New Hope and Rogue One are female leads. There's been a lot of controversy about that on the web.
Or you mean Force Awakens?
Yeah, Force Awakens. What did I said? New Hope.
Yeah.
It's essentially a New Hope. That's why.
It really is. But let's
Where's
not go
my
into that.
female boffins at? Huh?
People.
A lot of boffins died so we can get our hands on these plans. Rhyming. Where's my female boffins? Nope, we got a nice little. Okay.
So the people are complaining that both films have female leads. Now, this is something that I don't have a problem with. I feel like in this instance, it's very well done. They created new films, new characters. They're not trying to fill a hole. There in no way was Rey meant to substitute Luke Skywalker. She was completely different from his character. She was literally a mirror opposite of his character.
Yeah.
He, wanted to leave. He wanted to go. She wanted to stay. Like they really did a good job creating a new character with Rey, and I'm okay with there being female leads as these characters. Even with Finn's character, a lot of people complained about there being a black lead. I thought that was another good addition because he was a unique character.
Okay, here's my problem with Babs. Historically, there's only maybe 3 black people in the entire Star Wars galaxy.
Which gives us it means he's probably related to one of them.
Yeah, just like everyone else. But I want to say,
back to
although the thing that pisses me off about I was going to call it A New Hope too. The Force Awakens is I felt like although I do agree that they're good character designs. Would that be the okay? I do agree that they're good character designs, but I felt they were terrible characters. I mean, they're going to develop. There's 2 more movies, but I felt that they were terrible characters, and that makes me sad because I'm like, oh, they're doing something different. There's a black character. There's a female lead, but they were bad. But Rogue One, I definitely look forward to it. So
and it's funny because actually A New Hope was not well received in the beginning. A lot of people felt like the characters were very cheesy, and then after a couple months, it gained a cult following. It was a very quick thing that happened, and then the next film, Gary, whatever, the guy who was the producer, the original producer.
I'll check it out later.
Yeah, I just watched the video on him the other night. I can't remember his last name. But he's the one who acquired funding for both films from very, very skeptical investors. And because the first film gained traction so quickly, even though it was an unknown title at the time, people really latched on to the franchise as a whole. And I feel like that's what they're trying to do again. But Abrams is doing something that Lucas didn't have the balls to do. He is allowing people to be surprised. He's allowing people to have to guess things.
I definitely agree with that. Yeah.
Well, now he has the backing of Disney and doesn't have to worry about going bankrupt if something goes wrong.
Well, yeah, he can spend all of Walt Disney's money.
Well, yeah, I mean, I
and then be buried under the Haunted Mansion.
Like, I'll admit that there are a lot of things done right about New Hope. Not particularly the film, but the handling of the Force Awakens. Not particularly the film, but the handling of the film. But I definitely did feel a little bit of
and keep in mind that I am a very heavy critic of A Force Awakens.
Yeah.
I did not like it as a film in whole.
I did not.
So
I look forward to more, but I definitely felt like there was a lot of, well, fuck it. It's not like people aren't gonna watch this movie type of vibe from it.
I felt like it was kind of a throwaway film to set up
throwaway.
for more films. Okay, but anyways, back to what we were talking about. Now, a poor example of cultural appropriation for films and gender appropriation is taking a predominant male cast for two films that was a completely male cast, flipping it, making it completely female, completely gender swapping the universe, and not changing the story.
Gender swapping the universe. That's exactly what it is. I mean, what's the point of that? What are you saying? What are you saying?
Ghostbusters.
What are you trying to? What?
Was there 3 Ghostbusters
I'm not
films?
sure. I was actually going to correct you, but I have no idea.
There was only
I
two.
never saw the third one. If there was
To
one.
the best of my knowledge, there were only 2
Yeah.
mainstream films. There might have been another one that was straight to VHS.
Oh wait, there was Ghostbusters, Ghostbusters 2, and then Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Those are not.
Anyways,
but I feel like that is a very poorly
Exactly.
done
Green
instance
Ghost
of
eat
it.
hot dogs. and butter.
it's fan service, and it's just you're just taking something and trying to sell it to a different audience.
And if were it a good film, it would probably make me more angry. But it's a crap film to begin with.
Like it's
So
I am not a fan of copying and pasting. I just am not.
well, and another instance of this, a non-specific instance, but there's a group. I don't remember the name of the group, but there's a group that does a poll every year to see how many LGBTQ characters there are in films. And Disney was heavily criticized because they have no LGBTQ characters in any of their films.
I know, I heard they're trying to make Elsa.
Well, this is the instance I'm talking about. They're trying to make Elsa become a love interest for a lesbian character in the sequel to Frozen, and this bothers me because you're taking very clearly she is not gay in the film. She is not homosexual in the film.
Yeah.
So you're and there's nothing wrong with the fact that she would have been if it had been alluded to in the first film.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Exactly.
Absolutely nothing points to that. So it would very literally just be filling in a checkbox.
Exactly.
And I'm not saying, and just to stay off everyone out there who's going to say shit, I'm not saying ethnic and LGBTQ and female characters should not be in films. I feel like if they are forced to be in films, if production companies are forced to put them in films, you're just filling a checkbox. You're not creating equality.
Exactly. Just
That's
keep
like-
going. Just keep going with the Percy Jackson series, and you'll be fine.
Disney, like I understand.
I don't think that's going to get another film
Disney
though.
throws stuff into their movies that's adult for the adults to have a laugh when they brought their kid in there to see things. But stuff like Frozen is supposed to be for kids, and I'm not homophobic or pro any. I don't care either way. You can do what you want to with your life. There's enough of that out in the world without us putting it into our kids' cartoons and having it then put in front of them more and more.
And that's another
Because
topic
there's
altogether.
enough of that already in the world. It doesn't need to be in
Because,
cartoons.
like
It's
Disney really broke down the
you don't
walls.
Disney doesn't need to do it.
Yeah.
Well,
in
Disney
their
really
stuff.
broke down the walls with Frozen when it came to the appropriation of the princess needing the prince thing, and I feel like they did a very good job of empowering female characters with that film.
Make
But
a
then
new lesbian princess. Make a
Brave
new
did as well.
lesbian
Brave
princess.
was very good, and they've.
No.
That's what I'm saying. Is like I feel like Disney being criticized on this front is kind of shitty because Disney does a very good job of appropriating things now. I'm not saying they always did because Disney's got some really racist skeletons in their closet.
Hey, Pocahontas was enlightening. All three of them.
I'm
that
sorry.
was against the storyline. Well, the second one followed the storyline, except for she should have died. Just saying, historically speaking.
Well, and Disney is historical for being outlandishly racist, but I think in recent years, especially in the last 10 years, they have done very, very well at balancing out that.
I mean, come on. The
System.
Princess and the Frog.
The Princess and the Frog was a good one.
Like my problem is like just artists in general. If you're creating something, you shouldn't feel forced to appeal to an audience. You should express yourself.
Make a story.
Yeah, make a story. Like, I'm writing something, I have a female lead. That doesn't mean that I'm forcing myself to have a female lead. I chose to have a female lead. I'm not trying to
Well, and see,
appeal to someone.
and that's something else. Is this opens the door for two different kinds of people, and it restricts exactly one kind of person when it comes to creativity. And it opens the door for people who are going to pander and write absolute shit content, but because it contains those characters, it will get made.
And it's not like you guys aren't gonna ship people anyways.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I've been on the internet. I see the things that you do with Elsa, regardless of who she does or doesn't like in the movies. So why are you complaining?
Yeah, well, I think incest is another topic for another time. The internet is.
But we're going to talk about it.
I promise you, no.
Well played. Well played.
Now, I definitely feel like there is room for characters, even in the Disney universe. I don't think it's necessary for the Disney universe, but having a lesbian or gay or trans character in a Disney film would not be out of place.
Yeah, there's no problem with that.
But it needs to be focused around that character being that person. I don't even think that it would be a good idea to.
I just thought of a fantastic example. There's an anime that came out, I believe it was last season, called Chica, and it's this girl. It's her first year of high school. She falls in love with her teacher, and she's kind of determined to like get him. I'm not for that life. I saw Pretty Little Liars, and I was like, hell no, this show is terrible. However, like it's like it's.
That wasn't Pretty Little Liars?
Huh? Yeah, there's like teacher-student relationships, and I hated it. But there's it's like a cute type of I want him to fall in love with me thing, and she has a best friend named Chica, I believe, and at the end of the first episode, spoilers, you find out that Chica also wants the teacher to fall in love with him. He's gay.
Okay.
And that has no bearing on, like, it has bearing on their development, but it's not out there. He's just a character, but he's also gay. He has love interest, but it doesn't interfere with the story whatsoever, and I love that.
And I feel like it's something that needs to be handled very tenderly too, because the way that you do these things sets you up for a precedent, and there are some precedents that I don't feel need to be set in this instance.
Exactly.
Like if you set the way that Disney did things. Let's not talk about.
Okay.
Let's not talk about politics.
Yeah.
The way that Disney set up to have female lead characters that were not requirement of men in their films was very good, because even though in the end of The Princess and the Frog she didn't end up to a certain extent getting with the guy.
Well, she ends up with the guy, but the entire thing wasn't how do I end up with the guy.
No, she ended up with him by mishap, and the rest of it was getting her father or her mother's restaurant back running again.
Yeah.
And
it was another very much empowering story. Here's this woman who faced a challenge and overcame
it told history appropriately, I felt.
And it was historically accurate Disney cartoons, but it was to the extent that they could without beating people in a child cartoon historically accurate.
Well, I'm pretty sure they did that in something. One of their older films.
Very old, and I don't even think it's shown anymore.
Yeah. Probably Hunchback of Notre Dame or something.
Hunchback.
Hunchback of Notre Dame is probably one of the most infamously famous and depressing films.
That's something that we need to remake with a gender swap cast.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, no, you make that with a gender swap cast, I guarantee you there will be outrage in the streets.
Yeah.
Oh man, that would probably be good, but everybody would be like, hell no, what are they doing? But man, that would
There's another strong one.
I'd check it out.
I always forget about her.
Esmeralda, yeah.
Yeah, she's one of my favorites.
Oh yeah. Man,
She was like the
Well,
last
what about
overly offensive female
She wanted
character
to
in this
start her
movie.
restaurant.
well,
Okay,
was
thank you for
Meg
the correction.
From Hercules really a standout female character? I
No.
can't remember.
I don't feel
Meg?
Meg was kind of the stereotypical femme fatale.
Okay.
Not really a powerful character. She's been controlled by a man.
Yeah,
I
you're
So-
zoned
right.
out for a second and came back in on Meg, and my first thought was Family Guy.
No, but
She's
she's
not
like.
femme fatale at all. She's just
the
fatal.
whole time.
Yeah. And I feel like Disney set a very good precedent with The Princess and the Frog. I didn't enjoy that film because a lot of it was very. It was dark and it was kind of force-fed. A lot of it was very force-feedy, and I felt like the way that they portrayed white people in that film was outlandishly racist. I felt like her white female friend was just like super stupid and.
They hadn't discovered
okay.
that you don't have to extreme opposite end of the spectrum yet.
Well,
And that's all fine because they did
and again, like,
and discover that you can find a middle
and a
ground
lot of people,
when making a movie about ginger, but
a lot,
outside of that,
Okay.
a lot of people will say that it's okay because it was done to other cultures first, but that's not equality.
Yes.
That's reverence, and we don't. You don't need recompense. You need to actually make things equal. And by downing another set of culture, because essentially the culture we're in now, virtually none of us have ever been slaves, and virtually none, especially in the United States.
Oh yeah.
I'm referring to the United States as.
I was gonna say,
Yeah, there are a
There
lot of
are-
slaves in Asia.
they're
Yeah,
actually
well,
trafficked. California is one of the highest traffic places for modern slavery.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, no.
Well, we
Silicon
also have
Valley,
we have one of the
I'd
largest.
make
We have two of the
gambles
largest
on
seaports
Butler, dude.
in the world
I
as
would.
well.
I'd gamble off Butler, dude.
Butler too?
Yeah. I'd make bets on and you know, you win this bet, then I'll be a Butler for it.
Oh, okay.
No, these are women
That
women and
kidnapped.
children that are kidnapped from
Yeah.
around the world and then.
Dress me as a maid. That's fine and dandy.
Well, and the issue is that the way that society is looking at things now is that you have to overcompensate and then degrade the other side of culture, but that's going to create a precedent where it flips the roles, and that's
Yeah, exactly.
that's very much the wrong direction. Yeah.
You're becoming what you hate. What is that? What's the point?
Because you don't need reparations for what was done. You just need to make sure that it doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
And-
As a black man, I've seen many white friends of mine with self-hate for being white and quote unquote not having a culture and things like that, and it's just like, why is this happening? Like, that doesn't need to
This
happen.
is
for
why
everybody to be positive.
I get a lot of shit from people because I have zero white or male shame, and so it irks some people because like very powerful feminists and very powerful race advocates that are misled into thinking that people need to reparate for what was done to their ancestors expect me to feel shame, but I'm from fucking Ireland, and my
Yeah.
my people have been the shit end of the stick for the last.
Centuries.
You guys got your ass kicked by potatoes. I'm just saying, like.
We got our ass kicked by potatoes, and then people came in and still were kicking our ass where the potatoes were kicking our ass.
Exactly.
So,
I was
it's-
like, while they were going through a famine, people were being kidnapped
Like,
and used as slaves.
We were starving to death, and people were still coming in like, fuck the Irish.
Because you guys weren't able to fight back at that point. Of course
Man.
we're gonna.
And
You
that's
guys
the
were
point.
essentially the European
That's the
Africans.
point. It's about.
We were the very small island Africa of Europe.
Yes, exactly.
I was gonna say you also have to remember Egypt was part of Africa. They're not all black.
This is true.
Well,
The
and
whole
Well,
top
a
part.
lot of Africa. Is
and
black.
depending on
Yeah.
which book you're reading, Egypt was one of the big slave centers too.
It is.
So.
It's yeah.
So,
there's still
All right,
lots of
but getting back to the topic, that wasn't off topic, but getting back to what we're talking about is
Hey, it all's got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Put more slaves back in there, build another sphinx.
What? Okay.
I want another. I
Actually-
want another sphinx.
They've
for-
proven that the slaves were before that.
Whoa.
Middle Kingdom, not New Kingdom.
Huh, I did not know that.
Just
But putting slaves there would give us a new kingdom sphinx.
I'm
Dude,
gonna
Uh,
do it.
the Griffin breaking down, his nose is missing. Can you imagine that dude with irises?
Oh my god.
with some 3D printers in
I
there,
am
and just
coloring.
they used to have some.
Like,
Yeah, so,
kidnap
you know,
archaeologists, or not archaeologists.
we have a new version of slaves nowadays. They'd actually just get a mass amount of unpaid interns and some 3D printers and build a new sphinx.
I mean, talk about form fitting. Aliens, no 3D printers. We had them back then. We just didn't know.
No, you're gonna be like
Exactly.
this. Aliens.
Or you can do the cat version.
Alien, that was. Is there a way to put that on the screen right now? Just
Well,
find that.
Let's
Let's
focus
yeah,
on
let's.
that, yeah.
What-
So, aside from Ghostbusters, what else was there?
You had some stuff up on the
I
desktop for
have
this.
no idea how to function this.
Just
minimize.
yeah, minimize there.
Oh,
Actually,
can I alt tab?
Yeah, you can alt tab it.
Okay. There it is right there. First thing I wanted to talk about. Oh, Spider-Gwen. There we go. I was just reading up on Spider-Gwen a little bit. Not really anything worth looking at.
Well,
But it's just the wiki page.
but there is a lot to be said for the way that the comic book community has integrated women more Now we have talked about the
Yeah.
comic book community and how over-sexualized the characters are, so we won't touch on that. But
Starfire.
the characters and the overall creation in these comic books do a very good job
Sometimes.
of, well, I mean, as a whole,
Yeah. Oh, as a whole, yes. Agreed.
do a very good job of gender and race inclusion, I feel.
Oh yeah.
And now that's not to say that it's where society expects it to be, but because of the internet, society expects everything to be done overnight. And these are things, cultural reparations take decades, if not centuries. It's not something that can be fixed overnight.
Yeah.
And the slower and more affirmed those changes are, the more solid they are. Because I use the inference of a house. If you build a house in 6 days versus building a house in 6 months with the same amount of effort being applied over both amount of times, or equal effort, I should say, over 6 days that house is not going to be anywhere as good as 6 months.
Yeah.
And if you take the time to make sure that a thing is done right and properly, and make sure that it doesn't cause any more damage, it will be a much stronger, longer-lasting thing.
The problem is that people think about they take this cause and they run full force right into a wall, not thinking about what's going to happen if they try to knock over that wall. Who's on the other side? What's the long-term consequence of what you're doing?
And Sakura, you'd consider yourself a non-mainstream feminist, yeah? Like a non-neo-feminist,
Correct.
I should say, yeah.
It's like
I don't hate men. If that's
There
what
you
you're
go.
Yes.
He's a non-neo-African prince. We all have it.
Okay.
Since he started working here, I keep getting emails asking for my social security number for my inheritance.
That might be my brother. I'm just saying, help him out. Like, he's trying to take his kingdom back. Yeah, I just want to say, like, I feel. I don't want to just say in Marvel comics or comics in general, but there's definitely there's some good cases where it's original female content, but there are a lot of cases where gender and cultural type of copy and pasting. For example, I'm not gonna go that far into it with this topic, but like the Thor and the Black Captain America and things like that, I'm fine with it because when you think about it, it makes sense that like someone else would don a title like Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Once was an alien white male, quote unquote, but was an alien. Huh? Yeah, Green Lantern. Well, Captain Marvel is now a female, and that is like the Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Like came down as an alien, but now Captain Marvel is a human and is a female. But my problem with that is that it feels forced in the sense that it feels like it's cycling. Where when we eventually get to that point where we're comfortable with female or African American or Chinese or whatever type of ethnicity that's being quote unquote oppressed at the time gets their share, they're just gonna switch over to whatever else, and that's not what I'm okay with.
I can't wait for 2020 when we have Muslim Spider-Man.
Exactly. Like it's like, oh well, yeah, like let's just cycle through and get everybody their turn.
I want everything to come full circle.
Yeah, Miles Morales.
Yeah, he's a black kid, right?
He's dark skinned. I'm pretty sure he's Hispanic though.
Is he?
No.
It's Miles Morales. Morales, that's not
Now who's
exactly
being
an
racist?
African American.
Yeah, right?
Morales?
What?
Is that a black or is that a black name or is that a Hispanic name? That sounds more like a Hispanic
Garcia.
name. I'm guessing.
I'm
just saying.
It is. No,
Yeah,
I
I'm just guessing. I'm not saying, hey man, that's what Mexicans name their kids. But no. I'm just saying. I'm aware that he's dark skinned. I'm pretty sure that he's Hispanic based on his name.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say most people who are African American do not have original African.
Yeah, no, I don't ever
I was like-
say I don't ever go out and say
You're
I'm
speaking
African American.
Ethiopian.
Exactly. I don't
Yeah.
speak any. I don't trace
name.
myself back there. I say I'm
Kunta
black.
Kinte.
I'm dark skinned. That's all there is
Is that
to me.
Versa?
I'm American.
Yeah.
Really?
What?
Yeah.
He
His
was
white
probably
man's
actually-
name was Toby, but his name was Kunta.
Okay.
Brilliant.
I'm just
But yeah,
saying.
Yeah, the thing that feels wrong to me about all these characters like Captain America and Green Lantern and that is that it feels like they're just cycling.
I do agree with you.
It's they're black now,
want it
but
to
then
come
they're gonna
full
be
circle.
Chinese, then they're gonna be gay, then they're
want
gonna
it
come full circle. It's gonna be white again.
Hold
So
on a second.
it's
Why
stupid.
isn't Spider-Man white? I want a white Spider-Man. What is this? We have all these different races of Spider-Man. Where is a white Spider-Man? It's
Don't
like
you remember
green
Peter?
in comics.
Don't you remember Peter Parker from 200 years ago?
But like when you look at Black Panther and Storm were married.
Are they really?
Yeah.
I did not know
Yeah,
that.
and they're both from Africa.
Canonically, they are married. But
yeah,
you
canonically
don't
they're
really
married.
see it a
Like-
lot because they're usually kept separate storylines. because
One's like
Storm
doing his
is
thing.
X-Men
I
and-
believe
yeah.
what's his name? Moon Knight is from Africa as well. That might be
Moon Knight's-
European though. It's a Marvel comic or Marvel hero named Moon Knight. But those are black characters. Those are originally black characters, and they don't necessarily define the character, but they're black characters. Storm is awesome. Black Panther is awesome, but they're not forced to be something just for the sake of being it, and that we need more of that.
Yeah.
What is interesting is that United States of America, Canada, and certain parts of Europe are the only ones that have people from different cultures that live there. You go to places anywhere in Asia, what are you gonna find?
All Asian
Just
people.
Asian people.
Well, I mean, I guess
South
they,
America,
well,
Central
and they probably
America?
look at
I'd like to
themselves the
think
same
the
way
Asians
that we look
integrate
at.
amongst themselves. Like,
Yeah.
well, never mind.
No,
dude, it's not
don't
gonna-
say that. He's kidding.
Mm.
They hate each
I
other.
thought
Yeah,
about
no, I was
that.
about to say,
I
yeah,
thought
yeah.
about that. Was about to start like trying to give examples and everything that went through my head.
I will
Like,
give you
more and
I will
more
give you a
offensive
prime
to the
example.
people
I will give you a
involved.
prime example a little bit later after this
So
is all
it's just
done.
China and
No,
Korea.
no,
yeah,
yes.
we're not fans.
I
of
promise you, it's
China.
exactly what I thought. It was like
People who have privilege.
No, they
think that
don't.
they have something
They
to
don't.
do.
They don't like
Well,
each other.
and-
They don't
and-
mix at all.
Exactly.
A lot of people
It's
will
a first
say
world problem.
well, a lot of
North
people will
Japan
say
and South
like
Japan like each other a lot. You
a lot
guys.
of people in the United States like I hear the terms like
Actually, no.
I hear the terms white privilege and I hear the terms male privilege a lot in the United States, but what Americans don't understand is it's American privilege.
Yeah.
It's not something that you get anywhere else
The
in the
fact
world.
that you're bitching at me shows that you have bitch privilege, and I don't appreciate
Like-
that. Like, no. Stop.
Because I very much believe in equality because I've lived in countries where there is no equality,
Exactly.
where one group of people, and it's not always men, but where one group of people
Hey, I'm just saying.
rules and reverence over
Yeah.
other
I
people.
believe in
the
equality.
Amazons. What is this? You want women in charge? Go to the Amazon.
I want to date
Lots
white
of
women.
in
I'm just
charge.
saying.
They
Like,
have no rights
But-
at all.
Like
But
I
yeah,
had
it's-
somebody say to me, a very powerful feminist opinion person say to me that I'll never understand what other people go through because I am both white and male, and my privilege keeps me from having to suffer. And I was very, very tempted from saying, well, be glad you live in America where you can have that opinion, because in other countries I've lived in, you wouldn't be allowed to have it.
Exactly.
So, but it's hard to get that across to Americans because Americans have always had this privilege. I mean, for the last almost,
Well, not always.
well, but for the last 50 years, which is all Americans remember. If anything's older than 50 years, just doesn't exist. Eddie Izzard.
Abraham
Possibly
Lincoln.
no one
Who
could
the
be
hell is
alive.
that?
50 years ago, it was impossible. No one was alive then.
He was like a knight or something. Oh no.
Abraham
He freed
Lincoln
the
was a
slaves.
knight under the Queen, right?
He's a vampire slayer.
Oh,
Yeah.
there we go. Yeah. See, shit. We're already fucking up on this.
and see that it's very much an American thing because there is
Fucking up our history.
yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely.
Americans well, and the whole
We're taking
privilege
it for
thing.
granted.
Well, and we are going a bit off topic with that, but there is like if you go to Ireland, you are already disadvantaged if you're an Irishman. Like just anywhere you go, like the best places to work in Ireland are in Dublin and in Belfast, and if you are Irish, you have a harder time getting a job there because yeah, anybody from England, Spain, France, like you're more likely to get a job going into the UK somewhere or into Scandinavian countries and getting a job than you are to get a job in Ireland. And like degrees from Dublin City University are respected nigh in the world. There's virtually nowhere where a master's degree from a university from Dublin is respected.
Little beer stains on the degree. Just kidding. Okay.
Well, being
that was
as Dublin is basically England, I'm gonna let that one slide.
Yeah.
In case you were wondering, that was racist.
Yeah.
We're coming from the black guy. So yeah,
But
everybody's
in America, it's okay. So.
Black people being racist is still racist.
Yes.
Not in
Black
America.
and
Not in America.
It doesn't
It's okay in
exist.
America. But anyways, back to what we were.
Racism is okay. I'm not saying that it's not okay. I'm just saying it's still racist.
I don't believe in racism.
I don't believe in it either.
No, racism is real. Well, I think what she means by she doesn't believe in racism is that she doesn't.
I believe in people hating people.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Is that
There's one human race. If we continue to separate ourselves as different races,
it's like if you
We're
hate any
working
whole
on genetically
if you hate any
engineering
whole
body
group of
parts and
people,
soon there will be two different races.
if you hate a whole
This is
group
very
of people that is not Canada, you have no right to hate those people.
Hey man, Canada's nice.
I actually love Canada. I have several very good friends in Canada, but I
They
make
leave their
fun.
doors unlocked.
I
I'm just
make
saying.
I make fun of Canada because
You have a Canadian friend here, and you're still making fun of us. Okay, bye. I'll fucking leave, bro. I got other things
You-
to
you-
do.
born there?
No, man.
you're American.
I'm a lot of things. American is sadly one of them.
But no, my point is I poke a lot of fun at Canada because Canada is almost it's like a much colder version of the United
Yeah,
States.
it's America.
But
it's,
instead of everybody,
Socialist.
well, a little bit more, it's more democratic socialism, and it's a lot harder to make money there. But
Or anything.
see, I'm used to
You can make
everybody.
a snowman.
Everybody up in Canada speaks French, and I'm not used to it. I'm used to here in America where everybody speaks Spanish. So it's a little bit of a difference.
Hey, well
That's
played.
more towards the east.
I know, yeah, I that's like Quebec and all that.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's quick.
But-
It's the
Thank you
French
very much.
quarter of
I beg your
Louisiana.
pardon.
No.
No, but my point is that hating any given person based on like their culture is dumb because first off, I hate to say this, America, you're not educated enough to hate people based on their culture.
Or color.
And
Or gender.
Color, yes. Culture, no.
well, if you're culturally a cannibal, I can see why people would want to hate you.
Yeah, I mean Nazis is a culture.
True.
Yeah.
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 Like people do take that for
It is
granted.
a
There are
culture.
many hateful cultures.
Here's something.
It's culture
Here's
now.
something that's funny. People. I was just watching a couple documentaries about this last night. People will constantly like if you ask any. Speaking of feminists, we're gonna get back on topic in a second. But speaking of feminists, I had somebody tell me that the greatest atrocities in history were done by men. And first off, is it Queen Elizabeth or Queen Victoria?
It was not Queen Elizabeth, Queen Victoria.
Queen Victoria killed more people than almost any world
That's why
dictator
she was
ever
called the
has.
Red Queen.
Yes,
Yeah.
she killed hundreds of
Also,
thousands, if not
appropriation
millions
right there.
of people.
She was white. I'm just saying, anyways.
But during World War II, everybody knows the name Auschwitz. Everybody knows that. But one of the biggest killers in Auschwitz, and responsible for killing more women than any other person throughout the entire World War II, was a woman.
You know that?
She wasn't even a doctor.
Well,
They
no.
called
She was
They
a Nazi
called her
doctor,
doctor.
but she was
Hey, Nazi doctors
If
were
you're a
very good
Nazi,
doctors. I'm just
if you're
saying.
a Nazi, you
she
can do whatever you
oversaw the death, she oversaw the deaths of 300,000 women during the Holocaust.
And that's why they knew how to work on bodies so long. But
Well,
yeah.
no, the guy that did that was an actual guy
Okay.
who operated on living children.
I mean, they have the best. Right,
We're gonna get back on topic now, but my point is like you really need to read into history because I guarantee you there is not one gender or one group of people who have not done atrocities to other. The Celts were fucking brutal. The reason why England probably hates us so much is because when they were trying to raid us before they had guns, we tore shit up.
I mean, yeah, everybody was an asshole.
Jews never did anything to anybody, and I'm sticking.
Damn lie.
I've got a
You
whole.
read the Old Testament?
I was gonna say I've got a
Well,
whole
they
book
killed
that disagrees with
themselves.
you.
They sacrificed their babies to other
They
gods.
were. Well, I mean, they were literally Africa of the past. But they were like, they're doing what Africa's doing now. They were doing back then what Africa's doing now.
Okay, so
Really hard time to respond to that. I really want to say your mom.
what? Who's Hitler? You can say your mom. That's alright. So getting back on track, one of the ones that you and I had spoken about, Wacko, was female Thor.
Well, female. We need to. Well, okay. I'm just gonna say her name. What was it?
Didn't she come? Is that not in the comics?
No, it is in the comics.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Female Thor.
Yeah.
It's
Her
in the
name
canon.
was. Oh wait, no, wrong one.
Scroll,
No, it's not. Oh wait, is it that one?
Up.
Yeah.
No, this is the intangible. Oh no, this is the wrong. No, that's the wrong. Her name is Jane Foster. I wanted to say Jane Foster, but I'm pretty sure that's an actress as well.
Jane Foster is his girlfriend in the films.
Yes. And
Yeah.
she is female Thor.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Becomes Thor?
She becomes Thor.
In the comic book, yes.
However, I'm gonna go over why I'm okay with that. The first thing that we talked about. Okay, I want to point out a difference real quick. I was very much against it until Castle explained that the new female that wields Mjolnir doesn't go by the name Thor, and that pissed me off. The thought that she would be pissed me off to no fucking extent, because I don't like the thought of someone just completely gender swapping and replacing someone. If someone's wielding Mjolnir and there's a whole story arc behind that, Thor is still a part of the story. She's not Thor. She has the powers of Thor, and I'm completely fine with that. That's cool.
Yeah, she has the
the
power
She
the
can
power
wield Thor's
status.
hammer and the Mjolnir.
She has the power and status of Thor, but she is not Thor.
She is herself.
Yes.
And that is perfectly fine.
The important thing to note about that section of the comic book is that Thor is a name, not a title, and she gains the title of Thor, not the name of Thor. So
and Thor is a part of it. He becomes unworthy to wield it, and they have
runs around with the fucking battle axe.
Yeah.
Then he runs around with the battle axe, and that's nice on Thor's part, because I thought
Well,
I like seeing that part.
Yeah.
That's also part of the traditional story of Thor. He loses his ability in Ragnarok, and he only has a battle axe.
well,
Oh yeah, and the battle axe.
he
is
falls out of
yeah.
he falls out of favor during Ragnarok because he angers Odin.
Yeah.
And essentially, for those of you who are not familiar with Norse mythology,
Yeah.
for those of you who aren't familiar with Norse mythology, which I'm going to assume is most of you,
mythological children ever.
well, actually, his younger brother,
Loki.
no, not Loki, Thorol,
Oh yeah.
is much more. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but
I'm not sure if you're either, but I know who you're talking about.
yeah, I get Norse and Greek mythology mixed up when it comes to the names of the gods' children, because I don't know if you know this, but Zeus has a fuck ton of kids.
Oh yeah, so does
Far more than mentioned in the canon that you see in like God of War and all of that.
That's how I know my
Wait.
Greek.
Oh, Zeus.
Yeah.
We're talking about Odin, and then we went to Zeus.
Well, no, I get the names of the kids mixed up,
In front of us. We can look this up right now.
but
But that doesn't work your own name.
Yeah.
Make it more pliable.
What were we saying, Castle?
what I was saying is that his younger brother was much more disobedient, but in Norse mythology, similar to what happens in the films, Odin punishes Thor, and essentially, as long as he stays to the warrior code of the Norse, we'll say. I'm not going to go into the whole politics of Norse mythology, but as long as he stays to it, he can still wield Mjolnir. But if he does not, he loses that power, and the power of being the god of thunder. Because Thor is not innately the god of thunder, he is given control of thunder through Mjolnir. So once he becomes unworthy, then the power is passed on to somebody else, and he wields a
flying around with a hammer and thunder powers.
and he wields a battle axe, and then he is
Something I'm ready
killed.
for.
He is killed by Yggdrasil.
That's
Wait, is it Yggdrasil or is it
Yggdrasil's the tree.
What are you talking about?
the dragon at the bottom of the ocean in Norse mythology?
North
Is it Nidhogg?
That's not Nidhogg. That's not Nidhogg.
No, I'm fairly certain that it's Yggdrasil.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it is.
because the
Why
tree.
can't I remember this?
Oh wait, Yggdrasil is the tree, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, Yggdrasil is the tree. I'm pretty sure. Yggdrasil is the tree.
I know that-
Nidhogg is the bottom or top.
No. Nidhogg is a dragon.
Yeah, but there's two dragons like and
There's
they.
an actual
they-
server. You're
at
gonna say
top
the
and
name,
bottom.
I'm gonna hate myself.
Any blue?
Mhm.
Okay.
I have the
oh, yeah,
my phone's over there.
what I wanted to say about another reason why I'm okay with this female taking over Mjolnir is the fact that, well, another problem that I held with it is that she is human.
Yeah.
She is human, and that was bothering the hell out of me because I was like, why is a human suddenly given the power of a god? Now there's Captain America who was capable of wielding Mjolnir. Well, first of all, he's a superhuman, so he has immunities to certain things. I don't know the logistics behind that, but she's just a frail human, quote unquote frail human, and the fact that she's just suddenly a god now really peeved me.
Yeah, Jormungandr.
I thought that was
See,
oh no, that is that. Yeah, I know that name.
No, okay. So wait. All right. So Nidhogg is the serpent wrapped around the roots of the world tree, and Jormungandr is the serpent at the center of the earth, who
I thought it was just at the bottom of the sea.
well
Well,
he spins at the bottom of the ocean, and that spins the planet.
The
Yeah.
same.
His body controls the tides.
Okay.
He comes up and he spits poison, he kills all the gods, and then they're all resurrected after Ragnarok. So.
Yeah, but what I was saying about the Jane Foster, the hammer begins to affect her negatively, where she develops cancer, and so I like that the fact that she is becoming a more prominent role has negative effects due to
The fact that
difference
she's a
between
human.
a human and a god.
Yes.
That definitely alleviates the situation.
She just stole everybody's food.
Alex, I promise there will be more things going on the screen later. Right now, it's just how it is. It's a good thing that we're a tiny corner.
Yes.
Essentially.
Just wait.
Yeah.
What is it? You're getting things?
Shout
I'm not
outs.
getting anything.
No, this is a friend of mine who's actually watching.
I was like,
Who I had no idea.
Okay, so did you have any other examples of this that you wanted to bring up?
Let me see. There was Spider-Gwen. There was Ghostbusters.
Now, Spider-Man's a very
Oh,
interesting.
Like
right.
Spider-Gwen, it never really bothered me like that because Spider-Gwen is her own character from her
own
own
universe,
okay. Well, we
yeah.
were just talking about this. There's this cool concept. I don't know if it goes to all of Marvel.
In the new Ghostbusters movie, at least in the previews that I've seen, they make references to the old movies and they've done this before and this and that. Like they make references to the old thing and they make it very clear that we are new people now doing this.
Yeah.
In Spider-Gwen is her own, it's its own universe.
Well,
it's not like Peter Parker died a long time ago and now here I am and I'm taking up the suit and I'm just gonna take over.
Well,
Found another radioactive spider.
essentially
Eventually they're gonna die out, you guys.
the cool thing about the multiverse, I guess you call it.
Yeah.
I don't know. The Spider-Man multiverse is that everything kind of collapses in on itself and comes full circle where the same events transpire no matter what universe it is. So for Spider-Gwen, Peter Parker dies and Gwen Stacy, who was supposed to die in the original universe, becomes Spider-Woman.
So then who does she give cancer to? Peter Parker gave one of his lady friends cancer at some point.
I don't know the logistics or the history behind it. I just know
What's
the base story behind Spider-Gwen.
I think actually might have.
I know that
It's
at
Mary
some
Jane
point
cancer.
it might be, but I know that
And
at
then
some
makes
point
a deal
in
with Satan to bring her back from the dead or something like that.
there are so many versions of Spider-Man, like it's
so
ridiculous.
much. I'm just saying that there are a lot of different. There's a lot of aspects about Spider-Man in which every universe of Spider-Man has a different take on it, but it's kind of the same events. For example, in that universe, Peter Parker becomes Killer Croc. Is that Batman? They both have. There's
They
Dark
both
Croc
have
and
a
Killer
Croc.
Croc.
Oh no,
You're
talking about Lizard Man.
They both have a
Lizard
giant
Man?
lizard.
Lizard Man is in
Spider-Man?
villain.
in Spider-Man. Yeah.
Okay, Lizard Man. Okay, yeah, Killer Croc is
Parker's
Batman.
in DC.
Yeah. And so I find that cool. And in another universe that Spider-Gwen visits, Peter Parker becomes Goblin.
Yeah.
And so I find that really awesome. That like everything is kind of contained and overlapping. And so that's fine by me.
Yeah.
That honestly is. What's another one? That's the one we haven't explored yet. Is James Bond.
Oh right, there is There's a little bit.
I couldn't find it. You mentioned it. I couldn't find
Well,
it anywhere.
I don't remember who it is, but I just recently read an article that they are considering making the next James Bond a woman, and this bothers me for a lot of reasons. But and this is an area where some cultural appropriation would work and
I'm
some
not
wouldn't.
ready for a lesbian super spy. I'm really not. Because even if you change the gender of Bond, you still need your Bond woman.
Yeah, and
Well, they'd be flipping around everything. Then there would be a Bond.
and
woman.
the
Bond
Bond
man, what
dude
is
would
this?
just be weird in the
He-
context
he
of the way
just-
that the Bond
I just-
films.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything outside of like Pretty Boy Douche.
First off,
We don't need Bond fuckboys. I'm
If-
sorry,
Wait,
we really
Gillian
don't.
Anderson makes bid for James Bond role?
oh, Gillian Anderson, is that who's doing it?
That's what it
Yeah.
says.
See,
Do I need to IMDb that? Because I don't know any.
Gillian Anderson she's X-Files. Scully and Mulder? What?
you've never watched X-Files? Just
No.
Google her name, Gillian Anderson.
What is
I
wrong
have
with
a-
you? Are you
I'm not a
kidding?
fan.
The beginning
Not a fan.
You are insulting an entire era of
Hey, go
benchmark
ahead.
for
Go
sci-fi.
ahead. I'll go back through it and give it a chance. But I swear to God, if I don't like it, I will come on here and I will shit on it. I will shit on it so hard.
I will
do
shit on
a
it with
I'll
you
do a
if
whole
I do like
I
it.
will do a whole fully produced video and I will shit on it. So it better be damn good if you guys are gonna tell me this much. I watched it as a kid and I was just like, I'm not a fan. But
Yeah.
if you guys are
I'll tell
telling
you
me
right
this-
now, seasons 1, 2, and 3 probably not the greatest, and then it got really, really good later on.
All right. Tell me what you want. But I
All right.
swear to God, I will come back and shit
So
on it.
this is
That series is the reason why I can't use a porta potty.
so one of the instances. This is one of those instances where some cultural appropriation would work because one of the things. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever read Ian Fleming's work, but Ian Fleming is just absolutely a droll writer. The stories are great, but he is so boring.
There's only like 4 or 5 of the actual books, isn't there?
I'm not sure the number.
There's like this many movies and only like this many actual
About
James Bond
24
books.
films.
Well, and pretty much all of the films are just recreations in different ways. Like the whole Casino Royale leading up to Spectre, those were all remakes.
I remember the original Casino Royale,
The original Casino Royale was so much better than the remake.
Oh, was it?
and it wasn't even a James Bond movie. It was just called Casino Royale.
And most of it was shown on a soundstage. So
Wow.
that should tell you how much I don't like the new one. So
It was a comedy.
one
It was so regular.
of the consistent things with James Bond is that James Bond is a British man. He's a British man. He's a super spy, and
He
he's
doesn't even have to be white. There's lots of black.
well. And
British
see, and that's
men.
what I'm saying. Is like people have been advocating for Idris Elba to be James Bond. I'm
He's a
100% okay with
fantastic
that.
actor.
If you have not seen Beast of No Nation, you must watch it. It is a spectacular film. He played in The Losers. He was spectacular in that film. Idris Elba, he was in Street Kings,
He's also
and
He was
in Thor,
in
yeah,
he
he
was
was-
in the Jungle Book as a
Oh
voice
yeah, he was
actor.
also a,
Yes.
And it was absolutely amazing.
He-
Just to
everything
show
this man
all the
does.
things that he can do. He's a phenomenal talent.
he is absolutely incredible. And I would be 130% okay with him being James Bond. I would, if somebody put a poll online and voted him versus anybody else, I'd vote him in a second, with the exception of maybe like Benedict Cumberbatch, because Benedict Cumberbatch would make an absolutely eccentric James Bond,
Oh,
but I
yeah.
think he'd probably do better as a James Bond villain.
Yeah,
Yeah,
way better as a
definitely.
villain.
As a
Oh,
villain,
definitely.
yeah.
Yeah.
But Idris Elba as James Bond and then Benedict Cumberbatch as a villain,
Oh,
I ship
that'd
that all
be-
day.
Oh, that'd be good. Okay.
that'd be the greatest Bond film ever to be made.
Okay.
You don't even have to put a script to it. Just call it James Bond and put them in a room
Yeah, just-
together for an hour and a half.
You're James
I'll
Bond. You're
watch it.
James Bond villain. Go.
I would watch that so many times.
And acting.
But
YouTube series.
But I
you
I
guys,
don't
get on
see
it.
James Bond as being
Yeah.
able to be a female character.
that's like just make a spy movie starring a female lead.
Well, and again, like
What's wrong with that?
you have alternate like if you want like male and female characters that are parallel to each other, take Lara Croft and the Uncharted series. I
yeah.
don't remember what's his
Nathan
name.
Drake.
Nathan Drake. Lara Croft and Nathan Drake are absolute parallels of each other. But if they did,
Ooh.
Laura was first.
Laura was first. I'm not saying she wasn't.
Laura.
Laura, that's what I said. Lara
Yeah,
was first.
He said Lara and then he just said Laura, but yeah.
Lara was first, but they've always ran parallel to each other. They've never tried to be each other.
Yeah.
They're two opposite sides of the same coin. But if they did a Uncharted film and cast a female lead for Nathan Drake,
It'd be insult.
I would be pissed because I'm like, why the fuck wouldn't you just make another Lara Croft film?
Exactly.
Natalie Drake.
They are. What's her name?
They are, yeah. The
Yeah.
chick from she did the voice acting for the most recent game, actually.
That's
She's
what I had
supposed to
heard.
be the
Yeah.
new
Yeah,
Lara
I
Croft.
did.
Well, that
Machina, Ex Machina.
Oh yeah. That was actually cast. I read the article for that in Game Informer back in 2009. So that film has been in the pipelines since the other films were being made.
Wow.
I believe that article came out in Game Informer just before the second film came out, while Cradle of Life was still being made.
Yeah.
And I got super excited about it, and then I saw that Angelina Jolie was still Lara Croft, and I was like, fuck, I really wanted a new Lara Croft.
Yeah.
Because let's face it,
I don't.
if
Cradle of Life.
Cradle of Life, that Lara Croft film gave us Daniel Craig, and that's the only reason why he became James Bond, and he's the worst James Bond that has ever existed.
We were just
Other than Roger Moore. No, I'm not
No,
Roger Moore.
Ron!
Not Roger Moore. I'm
Ron!
sorry, the other guy.
Drive it open,
Whatever, Dalton.
It was
Timothy
George
Dalton
or-
was great.
It's gonna be James.
He is so
James
Timothy
no,
Dalton
I
is
don't have it
really,
open.
really underrated. I feel as
Okay.
a James Bond actor because he was
Whoever
really
was in Her
good.
Majesty's Secret
Yeah,
Service.
I
Yeah.
just feel the people of that time weren't ready for him as a new James Bond would have been great. I'd have taken him over Daniel Craig. He's
Oh,
a
yeah.
fantastic James Bond, and as a
Daniel
new
Craig.
James Bond would have been amazing.
Okay, first off, James Bond is supposed to be suave. He's supposed to be sexy. He's supposed to be this lady killer, this British spy, and there is nothing suave about Daniel Craig.
He's pudgy.
He
He has a beer belly.
And he's a street thug. Like, I am okay with Daniel Craig playing a British street thug.
Yeah.
That's fine. He does not have the suave
Yeah.
ability to be James Bond.
He wasn't really.
And, this is a weird thing to nitpick about. Every James Bond up to this point has been ludicrously hairy, and
Did you
Daniel
say
Craig was
Idris
waxed
Elba?
all over. Yeah.
Yeah, it says Tom Hiddleston or Idris Elba is Bond.
Oh, Tom Hiddleston would be a really good Bond.
I would watch that.
Ooh, if it was Tom Hiddleston versus
There's not
Idris
any other
Elba.
man I look at besides my husband. But Tom Hiddleston is wonderful.
Tom Hiddleston is
Why
Loki.
can't I-
Loki from the Thor films.
Oh.
Oh, speaking of which, I have a Jaguar commercial I want to show you guys later that has all of my favorite Brits in it, and I don't have a lot of favorite
Oh,
Brits.
yeah.
So-
Why do all British villains drive Jaguars or something like that?
No. Why are we all so great? And it's because we all drive Jaguars.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. It's got like all the like big British villain actors.
Yeah, it's got like
Yeah. It has him, and then it has he's been like 5 different. Well, I mean, he's a British actor, so of course he's been British villains. But he's been like 5 different villains in 5 different movies.
Okay, do we have anything else on
9
this front?
TV series.
No, I don't believe we do.
Okay, so again, like this is a problem, and I do feel like it is something that has been being remedied over the years. I feel like Disney's done a very good job of integrating other cultures, and Idris Elba would be an absolutely spectacular James Bond. We're gonna have to do an entire podcast on the roles that Idris Elba should play because he is absolutely spectacular. Oh, God. He doesn't play in that many films, and that's my problem. Like,
No, he has a good
Who?
number.
he has a good number, but nowhere near the number he should. Like, after Chris
Yeah,
Hemsworth got
not-
discovered,
Not as
Chris
many-
Hemsworth was in everything.
Oh yeah. That's,
And some of them were not great, but films like that were really underrated. I felt like Rush and Red Dawn were really underrated films that Hemsworth was in, and because he dies.
Well, just
Spoiler
because
alert.
I hate Red Dawn. I hate that movie.
But he's a spectacular actor, and once he was discovered, he got all kinds of films.
What was it?
Idris Elba was like kind of
Both his
opposite.
brothers are in.
Liam Hemsworth is really good too. His other younger brother is not that great.
Uh,
But the Idris Elba was in was it? Fuck. There was
Well, I just-
no. He was in a film that had to do with drugs and finding somebody. I don't remember what it was called, but it was very very good.
was it the Taker?
No, not the Takers. He was in the Takers, and that was spectacular. But Idris Elba plays in about one film every 2 years, which is not like a bad
Yeah.
ratio.
Well, it's probably because he works on them. Like,
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Well, and he does
after
really
instead
good.
of trying to be in like a bunch of films, you work really good at something and make a masterpiece instead of just like.
Exactly.
He does.
Like,
Everything
they
he
could've-
did,
Over
he's
quantity.
phenomenal. We've
Idris-
been on the man's
Yes.
lap for the past 20 minutes.
Idris Elba is so good. They could have replaced Shia LaBeouf in the Transformers series with Idris Elba, and I wouldn't have even blinked at
It'd
it.
have been seamless.
I never would have been like, oh, they shouldn't have changed it. I would have been like, that's
Shia
great.
LaBeouf, we still love you.
Whoa,
But Idris Elba,
whoa! Let's not go that far.
We like him.
Yeah,
Just-
Love is a strong word.
I was like, the
Yeah.
only reason I like him is because of how much he's okay with the media making fun of him, with people making fun of him. Like he digs it. He's like, whatever.
I think that's just to remain current, but I'm not gonna go into that. But
What?
To remain current.
yeah,
It's something he does to remain
I believe
relevant.
he tolerates it to remain current, but I'm not gonna go into that.
it's not part of the ocean.
But in any case, I
Oh,
feel
yeah.
like this is definitely something that society is progressing in general. But I feel like
I
that
got
there are
song
certain
stuck in
portions.
my head. The Shia LaBeouf video that.
Oh, right.
I got that stuck in my head now.
Actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah.
I
The
just want to
absolutely
point out
beautiful.
Shia LaBeouf is also an anime character, but
he most definitely is. Now, I feel like if this is forced in the wrong direction, it's going to cause more problems than it is going to be anything else. Because then, if you create a section of people, if you section off a group of people, and then you say this many of this person needs to be in this thing every year, you're not including those people. You're turning those people into a quota.
Yeah.
And
you keep
that's
separating them.
that's not inclusion. That's creating separation.
oh hey,
And-
look at it, affirmative action declared constitutionally. What is it called? Constitutionally discriminatory? What's the word? Unsound. I can't remember the proper
Let me see the
term.
keyboard real
Yeah.
quick because I think I forgot to hit record on the SoundCloud.
That would be trash.
I'm like 90% sure that I did actually.
And then the other end of it is, let's say they do give us a female James Bond, and
I did.
because
Not.
people
Oh,
just
cool,
do not
what's up?
want
Awesome.
that,
Yay!
the movie
I
does
didn't fuck up.
absolutely horrible.
Well, Jane.
And now it's like, okay, so there was a female Bond for one movie, and now we're back to this, and it's like, well, now you've offended everybody because you only did one with it, and then just
Yeah, and
It is-
didn't
pretended
sell
like it never happened
Exactly.
or something. So there's
Trying
also that end of it,
trying
too.
to
It's like,
force a specific thing into a series that already has a
I hope
fandom.
Ghostbusters fails.
I'm actually rooting for it to do well because if it doesn't do well, it's going to create a lot of issues on this particular subject with crossing over, gender swapping or culture swapping people in already existing series.
The way that I look at
the
Ghostbusters-
actresses that are in it, don't get me wrong, the people that are in it are absolutely fantastic.
I'm not a fan of a lot
There's
of them.
a
but-
couple,
Yeah, me
the,
either.
the one who's
We've already
taking the
discussed
place
why
of,
I have to go see it.
Kristen
So.
Wiig,
the lady who was in
Melissa McCarthy?
Melissa
Big
McCarthy,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, they used to be
She
big.
should be
She's not a big
shooting.
lady anymore.
Yeah,
She's not a big
she's
lady.
like-
I'm glad she's going
But
back to where she
she's-
started.
I think she's funny. I enjoy watching her act.
I think she's
enjoy
every
the
other
people
funny.
that are
Yeah,
in there.
I'm not a fan of it.
I just don't think that it's.
But what was I gonna say?
Leave it to the internet, you guys.
I look at this
The internet's
topic
better than
the
the
same way that I look at every topic, and it's
Yeah.
that everything starts at the ground level. Everyone has to do their part. Independent filmmakers, they don't have to, but
Yeah,
by
they're independent filmmakers.
by looking at a movie or a film in a different way, where you think, or rather even story making in a different way, where you include female characters not just as a supporting role, or maybe as a main role, or in different ways. And I believe like we are progressing in that state in games, in books, in movies. We are progressing in that state, and I feel that we do need to probably not even do, but more consider a little more. However, the rate that we're going is good progress.
I
And
agree.
People take that for granted.
And I feel like if it was just more strongly encouraged to make lead characters
Oh, yeah.
ethnic or female, that would be much better for the system than saying let's take these already existing characters and make them ethnic and female. I feel like that marginalizes people. It puts them into a checkbox, and it's the wrong way to go.
You just reminded me of something that I wanted to talk about regarding this topic, and I'll be quick. But I recently caught up with the last 2 seasons of Doctor Who, and don't get me wrong, I am so happy that the new companion is gonna be a black female. I'm like, oh yeah, no, I look forward to it. Okay, whatever. But
That's fine. That's fine.
I know, I'm like, oh no, that looks cool.
Yeah.
Like I look forward to seeing the new companion. I don't look at her gender or her race. I'm just saying, oh no, she looks like a cool person. However, what I did not like is that for the last 2 seasons of Doctor Who, and people probably just completely passed their heads, is that there was always a white villain and a multicultural protagonist group, and that I was not a fan of that because it's kind of subverting the different types, and you're saying, oh, you're kind of putting white people in a bad light and putting colored people in a good light in order to and I'm not a fan of that.
Well, it is England, and if any country in the world has a lot of white shame, it's England.
Yeah, that bothered me considering I went through every episode in the span of like a week, and I was constantly seeing that theme. That definitely bothered me.
I had noticed that too, and that's the case for a lot of things where you'll notice that predominantly in a lot of films, a lot of video games, the villains are almost always white males.
Yeah, it's not wrong to do that. I'm saying there needs to be variance. Yeah. It's all right to have a black villain. It's all right,
Then you create the same issue.
Because now it's racist.
Only if the hero is of the same color.
No.
I do agree
look
with
at Fallout 3. Colored villain, fantastic villain, white protagonist. There was nothing wrong with it.
But then you have to look at things from the creator's perspective. I do agree with you.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're going to make a villain, you should do whatever culturally works best.
Well, no. The reason I bring up that there should be variants is because of episodic shows like Doctor Who.
Yeah.
There shouldn't be a white villain every single time. If you had just one, I would not be making this complaint.
Well, and
you understand half the villains in Doctor Who are aliens, right?
Cast white.
But they are white male
I'm
aliens. No, I do agree with you, but just as an example,
at least now it's actually racist.
the devil's advocate end of that is some games have tried to do that. Where take for instance Resident Evil 5. Resident Evil 5 caught all kinds of shit because for multiple reasons.
Because of the Africa.
Because it takes place in Africa, and everyone being killed for the most part, even though the main bad guys were whites, a large bulk of the people being killed were black.
Newsflash, people, there are a lot of violent, evil black people in Africa. I'm just saying. Just like how there are a lot of violent, evil white people in America and all over. Yeah, like it's accurate.
Well, and just the fact
nothing wrong with accuracy.
Where it was in the world, it made sense, and that's what I'm saying. Like culturally, it made sense to have that.
Exactly.
The first villain you face is the general of the Ugandan army or whatever. He's a general or a colonel. I don't remember. It's been a long time since I played the game. And then pretty much every bad guy you face after that is either a mutant or a white villain. And I felt like it was a moot argument. But that's an instance where a game caught a lot of flack for being racist because they included African villains.
This is kind of the point where it's good that I don't run things because I'd be like, hey, I made an accurate game about violent Africans and people going in to stop this violence. You can go fuck yourself if you don't agree with that.
In their defense, it was the Ouroboros virus that made them that
violent.
Yeah,
no, there are other.
That is a naturally violent area of the world.
If it takes place in Russia and you're shooting Russians,
nobody's gonna be like, that's racist.
Yeah, exactly. Like if it takes place in Britain and you're shooting Britons, Irish people are probably gonna applaud. But let's not go into that. Anyways, like it's appropriate for where it's located. Like there's no need to complain about things like that. That's the last thing that I wanted to talk about.
All right. Well, wrapping up that topic, let's move into the next section of the PORNCast. A little bit more of a light-hearted topic, something everybody can kind of get on board with. And that is esports. Well, we ran a little bit long on the cultural appropriation section of this podcast. So what we are going to do, it's been just shy of an hour.
Okay.
So we're probably going to spend about 30 minutes on this topic. Then we're going to cut it off, guys. So, well, we're almost done.
Yeah.
So, now, No, not 30 whole minutes.
Oh, I
We're
see.
now we want to
Just
talk
for
about.
This one
30
was gonna be
minutes.
under an hour.
It was supposed to be under an hour, and
Yeah.
And then we became too impassioned.
we started talking about Idris Elba, and that just screwed us
Yeah,
over.
I was like,
It just
you guys
overrode
are
like
on this
20
guy's
minutes
nuts.
of the,
Anyways,
video.
esports.
Esports.
Now,
Now,
there's a lot to talk about, but I'll let you open that up.
what I want to talk about
Or-
esports
or-
is
this on there.
we had promised a while back to talk about esports. If you watch the podcast live, if you listen to it on SoundCloud, you haven't quite caught up yet. But one of the big things about esports is that that esports has sports in the name. Now, just as a slight joke and parallel, no one got upset when Wii Sports came out. Now, esports, for those of you who don't know, which if you're watching our channel, you should know.
They do actually have those in some schools.
Wii Sports?
Sports, yeah.
Yes.
Well,
These
'cause I
as
mean,
types of
the
you mean
Wii-
esports? Or
I
No,
feel
Wii
like
Sports.
the biggest thing there is that the Wii gaming typically entails you're up and doing things. And that's where I feel the biggest issue comes from. Most sports, we don't count poker as doing things.
I'm gonna go
It's on
But most
ESPN.
sports typically involve you being up and doing something and being active. And Wii Sports kind of does that too. So it's like,
But
the Wii is
here's
associated with getting up and doing stuff. And esports is typically, and it's just typically, it's not always, but it's typically, some 300 guys all in a giant auditorium sitting in front of computer screens.
So, what is the
Or
definition of
or
sports
TV
say?
screens.
An activity involving physical exertion and skill in which an individual or team competes against another or others for entertainment.
This is
Or-
physical
or
exertion. Thumbs get tired.
a person who behaves in a good or specify. Oh, okay, wait.
Like,
Well, I
being
mean-
a good
well,
sport.
yeah.
Person
But,
with a
however, I
fire
just wanna throw this out there. Do any of you guys, have any of you guys played StarCraft?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, newsflash, you can't play StarCraft professionally anymore. I'll just throw that out there because you're too old and too malpracticed. It's just that much exertion.
Well,
I've tried. It is that hard.
And
It
here's
takes a
the
lot
thing
of-
is that we are moving
Yeah.
into an era where intellectuals are kind of taking back the playing field. During the Industrial Revolution, intellectuals were the ones who led the world,
That's true.
and very much now
Not anymore.
we see that the world is run by very physical, characteristic people. People would argue that politicians and such are intellectuals. They're not. They are educated people who have physical control of things.
Sometimes there's
Educated does not mean intelligent. All I know is that these people have degrees. That means they're educated.
Yeah.
Or that they know things.
Yes.
certified.
They're certified
They
educated.
have a piece of paper that says.
Now, because I will tell you that there is a massive difference between somebody who is educated and someone who is an academic. Both people are educated. One person utilizes that education.
8 years of doctor does not mean I want you telling my state how to spend money.
Exactly. Now, here's the thing: is that there is a significant amount of training that goes into preparing for esports. A lot of these teams, like I know that the Korean team for esports, I don't know what their name is, but the Korean team for League of Legends.
I know you're talking about.
Aren't allowed to eat for a week.
No. You're talking about K-pop. That's an
Oh,
entirely
yeah,
different
that's a
culture.
whole- oh man.
But no, the
tour,
Korean
yeah,
team
you don't look at
during on season they actually live together in like a commune,
Oh yeah.
and they train together every day. They have a military style training regime that they They do every day.
A lot of other countries' teams do adopt that practice as well now.
and it's
America does it too. They all get together, eat a shit ton of pizza, play some games, and eat a shit ton more.
well,
And that's why
and
we never win. In
they hold these events in arenas. These arenas sell out.
So
When was the
more-
last time the Lakers
more
sold out a
so
game?
than-
Exactly.
More so than with the exception of stuff like the Super Bowl, more so than most other sporting events in general. Not just like
I mean-
the
soccer.
Lakers because that's how.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you mean
it's
football.
Well,
Football, football.
take your
Whereas not here in the States, but everywhere else in the world, you're looking at sold out stadiums pretty much everywhere. Now,
Yeah, well, football games are sold out. Soccer games are not sold out.
Hey, damn.
that's because Americans have
And
flat
you know what?
feet.
Tucker's not here, so he can't say shit about it.
got him.
Hey, got him!
Got him.
All right. So my issue with
Very
esports.
white, if you're-
Yeah, I tried. I come from the land where green and white mix together.
Terrible cultures.
It
Anyway.
was light green. the issue is that the world as a whole and media as a whole is trying very hard not to recognize and respect esports as an actual competitive nature thing. They ESPN created.
Well, video games.
Korea
are so
probably does have more than one team.
heavily
Once
under
it's
attack
yeah.
for a lot of other things, anyways.
There
Whether it's
are
what we talked
there are
about a couple of
brands
weeks ago
that-
with over sexualization or stuff like violence. Oh, video games lead to violence and make you horrible. Video games are so heavily under attack that they don't. I feel like for them to admit that it's a thing is going to bring more attention to it than they actually want on it. So that's another issue.
No, I 100% agree with you that the culture as a whole is not respected. Video games is not respected as a professional culture. Internet media is not respected as a professional culture, and the
What is it called?
esports is a combination of these two things.
SK Telecom is the.
Oh, SKT, yeah.
Telecom.
Thank you. Who is this?
Resist lust.
I will try and thank you.
That's smart.
Mark.
He's had that tag since he was like 12 years old, and he's just held on to it.
That's adorable. Hey, no, good for you. Good for you, dude.
Now,
my tag has been my tag since 2011. Good for you.
Now, even ESPN created an entire other channel so they would not have to cover esports on the same channel as regular sports. Now, keep in mind, ESPN
They made a channel for it though, which is I feel a push in the right direction. I understand, yeah, they're separating it, but like it could be. Well, we have all these other sports going on, so we don't have time for this.
Jamin, separate but equal. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, it worked great here.
Oh!
Here's my issue with it, is that ESPN1 and ESPN2 will cover poker tournaments.
Yeah.
They
Well,
will-
okay. Poker
Gaming
is
does take
definitely
more
it definitely is a thing to be respected. It is very competitive.
It's a
very
game of luck.
strategic.
It's a game of luck. Chess takes more strategic skill than chess. Thank you very much.
Takes more strategic skill, I will give you that.
But chess takes more
Hey,
strategic skill than
Come
poker
bet
does.
me all
Poker
your
is
life
100%
savings.
luck,
Come bet me all your life savings.
and
That's all I have to
the
say.
other 100% is having the $100,000 skill to buy yourself into a game.
Yeah, very much. Poker is very much a rich person's sport. It's very much
Like,
an upper class sport.
Well, I mean,
It's
you
for
you
people
can say
too-
that.
It's for people too lazy to play golf.
You can say that, but then the same thing can be said about esports.
That's not. But
Not necessarily.
Why?
StarCraft,
Everybody
League of
has a-
Legends. You
most
have
people
you
have a
have to
computer.
have a good setup in order to play competitive.
But most people have
True,
a computer and
but-
No.
but
You
hang
can-
on,
you
hang on,
can
hang on,
play-
hang on.
You can play StarCraft on a
Here-
laptop. You can play League of Legends on a
Here's-
laptop. You can play Dota on a
here's the
laptop.
difference,
You
though.
cannot play well on a laptop.
Here's the difference: is that esports teams, 70% of esports teams are sponsored by a large corporation,
That's true.
whereas only about 25% of poker players are sponsored by large corporations. I will give you one name as a pinnacle and definition that is the standard for most poker players:
Brisbane.
Dan Blazerian.
Okay, yeah, no. I agree.
Do we all know who Dan Blazerian is? Dan.
Do you watch poker?
No.
That's why you don't
Okay.
know who he is.
Watch poker or the news, because Dan Blazerian is always in the news for kicking women in the face as
You
well.
want me to watch the news?
No.
What kind of terrible boss are you?
He's the poster child. He's the poster child.
He is the poster child for poker.
I mean,
But,
you have less stamina in poker than you do with playing a video game.
Unless
You
you're
have
that
to be-
dealer.
It
Those
definitely
dealers.
takes more. But I'm saying from a monetary standpoint, you still need to have money in order to play video games.
This is the poster child for competitive poker.
He
What
kicks
in the hell?
competitively.
I've never seen.
This
When
man
he's not
has
playing poker.
Never
been
seen
in the
his
news twice. One for throwing a woman off of a roof and breaking her ankle. He
She
threw her
only
off
broke her ankle? What
he
kind
threw
of
her off
luck?
a roof into a pool, and her
Oh.
ankle hit the pool on the way in. And then he was on stage at a club, and he kicked a woman in the face, broke her nose and cheekbone.
So he was drunk both times.
That's
Actually, no, he was sober
No,
both
he
times.
was sober both times. The guy is
He's-
just an asshole. He's a
That's why
rich
he's
asshole,
gambling.
so
He has
can
to pay
afford
all
it.
those hospital bills. Oh, you just
well,
looked on his Twitter.
No,
Did
my
we?
bad.
It's bad enough I have to see these dumbass Snapchat filters on there, but now these bitches are bringing them
Onto other social
onto
media.
other social media. Brutal. I think he just doesn't like women. I don't think it has anything to do with this person. He just
Oh,
doesn't
he
like
wasn't
women, so
talking
he
about
assaults.
women. He's talking about
That was just
I'm
stupid.
done with
I
this.
saw. Well, never mind. I'm not. Yeah. No. Okay. Cool. Yeah.
So he is essentially, I guess I spelled his name wrong, but
Movies?
he's in films, and he is a trust fund baby, and he remade his fortune by playing competitive poker.
Yeah.
Now, the only people who are successful
he's
poker
known as?
players. No. What?
American social media personality.
Yeah.
Oh,
He is the male Paris
Congratulations,
Hilton.
though.
He is famous for being famous.
okay.
So
So like those girls that you hear about, those
Instagram models
Okay,
and such.
We're getting so off.
So off track. Anyways, yeah, let's get rid
Yeah,
of
where were we talking about?
Dan. Let's get rid of Dan Blazerian.
Bye, Dan.
We were talking about esports. So the
Bring up the list real quick, just so people can see.
Well, I didn't want to bring it up until we start talking
So,
about it.
now one of the biggest points for why esports should be respected as a sport. A lot of people say that you can't do it professionally. Now there are streamers who make in excess of $1 million a year
Very true.
playing these games competitively, and then you have
Tens of thousands of dollars a game. Just
Oh
for
yeah,
the
and
game.
then
let's talk about this aspect for a second. They're playing professionally, but then they also stream and make money off of that.
yeah,
That's crazy.
which is it's the same as like a
Okay,
a
and
professional
athletes-
player, yeah.
Athletes play games and
then
then
they
make
go-
money from
Sports
endorsements
deals.
and stuff.
yeah, they will do endorsement
they
games
still
and
have
so on.
Well, they do endorsements with commercials for computer software.
We have
and
also
things
had
like that, so.
3 League of Legends players. It might be more at this point, but last time I checked, 3 League of Legends players who have been given American visas to come here and play competitively.
Yeah,
Dude.
you're right. They keep
Why
bringing
are we
Koreans
still not
over here.
winning? Why are we still not winning?
Because we're trying to buy Koreans instead of actually practicing on being better at the game.
That's slavery. Last time I
There you
checked.
see, slavery is
No,
back.
if that's
Slavery
slavery,
is back.
then the
I was
NBA
like,
has
that
been
is-
doing slavery for a
that is-
very long time with the Chinese.
That is very well paid slavery.
Yeah.
Oh, the Chinese, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Chinese and Africans and what's that?
so go ahead and bring up the list, because this is what
now
these
Yao Ming?
Brave Woods.
yeah, go ahead and bring up the list. We're gonna bring up a list on screen of what these individual game types pay out per year in tournaments.
Oh, I don't think we have that list. Do we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do.
Per year?
All right, so for Dota 2, which
yeah,
is
this
the
is
number
just an
one
average.
payout, it's 61 billion. Oh no,
No,
sorry,
million.
sorry,
That's
61
no,
million.
not billion.
128,883.
And this is annual, and I'll tell you how I know that, because there are 1,477 players that play Dota 2 professionally, and 608 tournaments. Now, the purse for the Dota 2 tournament in 2014 was $10,600,000. Do you guys know what the purse for, say, the Stanley Cup is?
Million dollars.
No, it's like 16 million. But
Why can't
How much
I know what
longer
the
has-
Stanley Cup is right now?
it's for hockey. Yeah. Now, hockey is probably one of the
sorry, Dad.
least watched sports in the world. I figured you'd know. Your father's Canadian.
my mind was
Now,
not there.
for League of Legends, it was
29,187,948
Yeah, look at that. League of Legends has
$1,710
tournaments a year.
and then for
What?
StarCraft, you have 19 million.
Well, StarCraft 2. StarCraft is.
Yeah, StarCraft 2 is 19 million.
Counter-Strike.
CS:GO.
Counter-Strike and Counter-Strike.
Yes.
Yeah, Counter-Strike and Counter-Strike are the fourth and fifth.
Between the two of them are just shy of 25 million.
So they're making 25 million with both Counter-Strike
And Counter-Strike Go.
Offensive and
Which technically puts Counter-Strike as third on the list, because we're just going to count Counter-Strike
Now,
as its own thing as opposed to Go and Counter-Strike.
This is professional sports level shit right here. If you talk about the number of athletes you've got involved because they're teams, and you compare that to other team sports, this isn't far behind. And I warrant to you that in the next 5 years, this is going to exceed it. And the major issue is that mainstream media.
On the side over there, what some of the tournaments get out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I can't read.
Oh,
The most recent one is ESL Pro League
That's StarCraft.
S3
S3
Finals.
Finals, yeah, that's
That's
StarCraft. That's $513,000.
So
For winning.
500,000.
For winning
One
winning
tournament.
a video game
and
tournament.
that is a team of 5 persons. And that's-
StarCraft. I believe it's there's teams, but then
I was talking about
it's two
Dota
people
and League of Legends.
Okay, yeah. But the tournament that we just mentioned
Yeah.
was StarCraft, and that's like 2 people as a team or something like that. Sometimes singular.
Go
But
over-
they're all under a brand
Go over
Yeah.
to the,
and a team, but
the
they
list
play
of
singularly.
all
And
of the different
That's
games.
not to mention that some of these teams
This
do
is
actually have.
essentially the same list.
No, it's
the other one.
but this is a. Or what's down at the bottom? Oh yeah, no. Scroll down.
No, but
Because
this one
it tells
goes
you more of the
into it.
money.
Yeah, this one.
Oh,
goes
that's
more
the. So where's number 5? So number 6, Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, which is one of
Yeah,
the
this
last
is
good
probably-
Call of
yeah.
Duties.
Heroes of the Storm is
$2
very
million.
quickly
into
crushed.
it. Yeah, one that we didn't mention was
For
where
over
was it? You mentioned
361
Heroes of the
tournaments
Storm.
for Advanced
Hearthstone.
Warfare.
Hearthstone.
Hearthstone still has a
there?
crap ton of competitive tournaments.
Hearthstone is up there, yeah. What does that say? $2,420 for 264 tournaments.
They
World
still
of Tanks.
do professional Smash Brothers tournaments.
Halo 2
They do
Anniversary
professional
Edition.
Smash Brothers tournaments
Yeah, they do.
for a game that came out in what
Almost 10 years ago.
more
Melee.
than 10 years ago.
Melee was 2006.
Melee was 2006. I need to look that up because I'm pretty sure that the Wii came out in like 2007. Wait, no, that might be 2008. Yeah, you might be right.
Melee was on the GameCube though.
Yeah, it was on the GameCube, but I thought GameCube was like 2008.
It was.
But scroll
Melee
down.
was not a launch title.
I just want to.
It was either 2006 or 2004. I don't remember exactly.
I mean, you guys can keep talking. I just want to look this up.
But I mean, like, how? Okay, so if there's, I mean, yeah, there are some sports. There are some states with 2 sports
What did it
teams. California is one of them.
On the right,
New York
2001.
has 2 sports teams.
Oh, is it really that old?
Yeah, exactly.
14 years?
That-
Jesus.
Well, no,
15,
for
yeah,
per
yeah, yeah.
sport.
years.
Per sport.
Oh, I was
That's
gonna say
insane.
we have. Let's see, we have the.
California has 2 sports teams per sport. New York has 2 sports teams per sport. But for the most part, there's typically one per country or state. I'm sorry. So that's maybe 54, 55 sports teams per sport. And scroll down on this list. I want to see how far past 50 we go.
Oh wait, no, yeah, it's going
We're in the
into
60s.
Oh,
We're in the 70s. It goes to-
83.
That's just the 83 top going ones.
Because there are others.
Those aren't teams. Those are
there are
games.
tons. I know.
Yeah.
But these are just games.
These are the
And
most
now
notable
think about
professional
how
tournaments.
Think about how many. Because I mean, there's probably in League of Legends,
Well,
maybe 100. If and I'm sure there's a lot more than 100. There's well over 100 California-based teams for League of
no,
Legends. I'm sure.
no. Amateurly, yes, probably. Well,
Professional teams.
professionally, they all fall under different
what it
brands.
says. 1,882 players.
There are
If
two.
that's what 5 people. a
Wait,
team?
no, they're about
So, I mean,
10
think about how many
professional
teams
League
that
of
is.
Legends teams
But-
in North America.
The professional teams actually have 10 players though. They have their major team and then they have their backup team. So, well, and this is my point is that not only is this very quickly coming up on regular sports, but you can also do this independently.
Yeah, no, you can't.
No, I'm saying is that people can make. You can't be an independent athlete. Like I can't go out and take a baseball and a glove
Okay, yeah.
and just be like, okay, woo, I'm a
Because
baseball player.
There are cases in League of Legends. I'm not that familiar with other esports games. However, with League of Legends, you can play singularly as an individual and get recruited by a sports team through just.
But that's not what I mean.
Yeah,
I mean
I know what you meant. But
through YouTube,
Yeah, just-
through
Oh.
Twitch, through these other things.
yeah, you
These
don't just,
people
yeah.
can be professionals.
You have to be recruited by a team and
Not
a
even
and
getting
sponsor.
recruited, doing it professionally as
Or taken
that
in
is what
by
you're making your
sponsors.
living off of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Between the online tournaments, because online tournament is, and this is just professional tournaments. Online tournaments is still a shit ton of money coming in.
Yeah.
People league
Only
is their
only
life-
for the
league
only
is
for
their
the
life,
top
league is
games,
their
but
living.
yeah.
And the views that they get off of it
And
too,
we're not
from
even talking
YouTube and
about,
Twitch and all these other sites
The
that are
oldest
doing that.
esports games. These are a lot of team-based games, but things like Street Fighter that's been going on since the
Yep.
90s.
I actually
tournaments and
back in the day, I
professional
used to competitively do arcade Tekken tournaments.
exactly.
And even
It's
back
been
in
going on for a very
even
long
back in the early 2000s and the 1990s, those tournaments were still paying out tens of thousands of dollars in the purse for winning.
For the person who won. Yeah.
When I first started doing Tekken tournaments, the purse for a regional championship was $2,000, and when I stopped playing, it was $20,000. And that's not national; that's regional.
Yeah.
So that's like this area of the United States.
Yeah.
So these things have been around for a long time, almost as long as some sports, and it's taking them so much longer to get respected. And again, it is because of the nature of the industry. It is both online, and the online community is not respected, and the video game community is very much, oh, it's just a game. I mean, but if you look back at the late 1800s, early 1900s, football was treated that same way. High school and college football, people were strongly encouraged to play. As soon as you got out of college, if you tried to continue a professional football career, you were mocked to no end because it was a kids' game. It was something that teenagers played. And there's actually a very good film that has George Clooney in it called Leatherheads.
Oh yeah, I was about to.
That talks about that very, very good.
I preferred Leatherface. Anyway.
A lot of running involved in both films.
Yeah.
Not the same concept behind the running, though. All right, well, guys, that's really all the time we have for today. Thank you guys so much for coming in and commenting and interacting. And thank you guys for watching. You guys have been supporting the podcast incredibly, and we absolutely enjoy having you guys. We love doing it.
Thanks, guys.
See you tomorrow in school, Alex. You homework.
Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been your healthy daily dose of recommended porn. I'm Castle. Wacko's going to hand me the keyboard so I can end the stream.
I don't want to.
And tune in next time when we talk about...
Do we know already? Cereal. Do we have ideas?
We're going to talk about cereal and cultural appropriation
Hey,
to
no!
cereal characters.
No! I like my Lucky Charms.
Count Chocula. What a guy.
Again, thank you
Count
guys for
Chocula
watching.
as the new James Bond
He's
hero.
Austrian, thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Anyway.
Oh, shit. I hit the wrong button.